Hello, travelers. I think we should talk about car trips today because there is a difference between car trips and trips you take in a car. Gary and I love car trips. We always have. Perhaps in the beginning of our travel time together, we did it for economy reasons, but really not even that. It's such a great way to see the country. It's a great way to find your center and to see what's going on in the rest of the world around you, to see the different topographies, to see the different types of people in the different parts of the country. Now, why I say there's a difference in the way you car travel. When you have a family situation and you have to travel by car to it makes the most sense for whatever reason to get to something. Back in 2015, for example, we took the car from North Palm Beach to Fort Worth, Texas, and that was for a family situation. It wasn't for fun, it wasn't for leisure, it certainly was no vacation, it was quite the contrary. We split that up and we did not go all the way in one day. It's a long way, but same thing when we moved to Tampa from Ohio, from Columbus, Ohio to Tampa, Florida. We needed to transport the car. We had two cars. We shipped one. We needed to drive one. Oh, we did drive one with a lot of stuff packed in it that we would need before our other things arrived. So it's all different kinds of reasons you travel the country in a car. Now, the trip in 2015 we took to Texas, when we came back, we made that trip in 24 hours. I didn't do the driving, but uh, we didn't stop. We didn't stop overnight. We probably should have. I don't think that's very smart necessarily, but it was a 24-hour drive, or maybe just an hour shy of it. But when you take a car trip, everyone does it in their own way. Many people want to stop at every site along the way and see the balls of twine and the snakes and the this and that. We're not really too big on that, but we do like to stop and have picnics. And when I do a picnic, I no matter where, even if we go sit down by the water where we live, I will take a little table and a little placemat to put on it and try to make it special. And we do that with picnics too. We take a pretty tablecloth, we take something to decorate the table with. The we try to make it look good, even if we're using plastic dishes, which when I'm home, I'm against that 100%. But we try to make it fun and nice and interesting. And we're we're pretty good co-pilots together, but Gary and I do take turns driving. We drive a certain amount of miles or until we're tired, and then we switch out. Now, what does terrify me when I'm driving is when the blinding rain comes, and that has happened before. I don't like to drive in the rain. I really don't like Gary to drive in the rain, and I'm a terrible backseat driver. If Gary were here, he would tell you. I don't know how I'm a backseat driver in the front seat. You know what I mean? It's like I help him apply the brakes from the passenger side, and I'm always telling they're stopping ahead. I tell him, like he doesn't see it, and he's tolerant. It's like I see it, I see them. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a big backseat driver, but we do love to travel by car. We did a car trip to uh, to the wine country in upstate New York, and I want to do a separate podcast about that. But that was a very long trip. That was actually that wasn't as long as some, but we went from Ohio to upstate New York, so not that bad. But we have driven from Dallas, Texas to uh, to Chester, Vermont. If you know where if you know where Vermont is, that's a drive. That's a long drive. And we arrived at our destination in the dark. It was dead of night trying to find it, trying to find where we were staying. But we have driven to Estes Park. We have made very long car trips. And I suspect we will continue to do that. But if you take a car trip, I hope you relax and enjoy it and you don't just try to beat the clock. I always chastise my father about that. And men are bad about this in general. There's certain things that people do, and in my family it's always been men that are obsessed with the price of gas. It's like, oh, I mean, they can tell you, Gary can, and my dad could. It's like, oh, gas within pennies if they drive past the fluctuation of gas, the prices, and also the time that they make. Gee, we made it from point A to point B in this amount of time. And why? And one time when I was a teenager, I really wanted to stop and eat. I was hungry, and we were traveling about 300 miles in the car, and my dad wouldn't stop. And I was really, really upset. And we got home, and I went in my room. But before I did, I said, I wish just one time we would take a car trip without racing the clock. My dad never let me forget that. He never let me. But you know what happened? The next time we did that same trip, he stopped and we ate. So it wasn't lost on him. But men are obsessed with making time. But car trips are they're really fun, and I have several of them that I want to talk about on Travel Bistro, this new podcast that I'm doing. I I feel like, as I've said before, that since we can't travel, being in COVID-19 lockdown here in May of 2020, that we have to find our way somehow, and we're missing travel. We have not traveled. This is probably the longest that we have not traveled, Gary and I, in I can't even tell you when that we have been without travel of any, excuse me, of any kind. So finding the way through this new podcast, Travel Bistro, where in my head, I see you sitting across the table from me in a little bistro while we chat about travel. I hope that you see it that way too. And if you have travel stories you would like to share, most people are very shy about thinking about the idea of podcasting with me, and I get that. I do, I really do. But it's really not too scary. But I hope that you will find all of our stuff at northpalmbeachlife.com. Gary does a great job, my partner in every way. Either this podcast, Travel Bistro, My Father's Tales, which is all wrapped up. That's not an ongoing thing. There are only 15 fairly short podcasts in that, and that's the beginning and end of that one. That's not ongoing. Pammy's Chit Chat is. That's been going on for over a year now. So that is ongoing. You will find that at northpalmbeachlife.com, and a lot of other things that Gary's doing also on YouTube under the same name, northpalmbeachlife.com. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that while we can't travel yet for real, I'm not sure when Gary and I will travel at this point, just don't know. But I'm glad you're here to share with me. Travel on.